Hey guys, Cameron here with Emerson Property Management. Every week I bring you tools, tactics, strategies, lessons I've learned, things that have helped me build up a sizable own portfolio, and about 2 years now manage that portfolio. Today, guys, I want to talk about marketing your property. So I get this question a lot, especially from new owners or people that we're bringing on board. How are you going to market my property? How are you going to make sure that it gets the most visibility out to everybody? And this is a really good question because if you don't get any eyeballs and you're not marketing the property, you're just sticking a sign in the yard, the only people that are going to see that are the people driving by the sign who happen to be driving by that house, who happen to want to be leasing a property in that area in the next 2 to 4 weeks. That's it. So you want to make sure you get your message out and get the word out that this property is for lease, your property is for lease, and here's the price, and here's when you can move in, here's the criteria, and you start giving a bunch of that information. And here's some pictures to show a great view of what the property looks like and see if that's something you would be interested in. The good and bad news, take this for what it's worth, is that not all, but the majority of properties are going to be marketed almost the exact same way. And what I mean by that is, once you're a member of HAR, the Houston Association of Realtors, again, I'm speaking from Houston area, and once you're a member of the MLS, when you put something on there, it syndicates to everything. And what do I mean by that? It's going to go to Zillow. It's going to go to realtor.com. It's going to go to Redfin. It's going to go to all the websites that syndicate. Now, I said it goes to Zillow. I'm going to circle back to that later because Zillow's changed some things in the time of this recording in 2022. In May of 2022, there are some changes that Zillow has made over the past 6 months to a year. And I want to talk about those, but we'll table that for now. Majority of agents are going to, whether that's a lease agent, your realtor, whatever, they're going to be listing your property through the same channels. And there's just only so many places that you can go to get the visibility for your property. And the MLS, the multiple listing service, lists it to all those. So one thing that a company, so when you ask, how are you going to market my property? Now, if they're not agents, you have a serious problem because they can't list the property on the MLS. If you're not an agent, you have to be licensed to list a property on the MLS. So if you're dealing with not an agent, you have a serious visibility problem getting your property out there. They're going to be able to put it on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, but you're not going to be able to get it on some of those other higher value websites, especially HAR and any agents that have clients that are looking for a property. You're not going to be able to get the visibility there that you are with an agent. So I highly recommend, I always have working with a lease agent, somebody that specializes in leases. But when you guys are trying to select a lease agent and say, okay, or a property manager for that matter, and say, how are you going to market my property? Tell me how you're going to market my property. 90% of the marketing is going to be the same. They're going to put it on the MLS. They might share it on their social media page. They're going to put a sign in the yard. Really doing open houses on leases is not very common. So you're probably not even going to get that. And that's how the majority of properties are leased. MLS, sign in the yard, and maybe some social media. That's it. There is unfortunately no more creative way to do to market. So in those marketing channels, how are these agents differentiating themselves? So how are you going to market my property is just one aspect of this. One, all the agents might be using the same channels, but big warning, here's where you need to pay attention if you're kind of putting this on in the background. All marketing through those channels is not the same though. Let me say that again. Even though agents are all using the MLS, they're not using it the same way. I had a client, he's a current owner of mine. He decided that he wanted to test our services out versus another company. So when he bought this new property, he used a different management company. I was tickled to death for that. One, because he ended up firing that company and hiring us. But two, he saw what other management companies are like. Some people just don't know what it's like until you go and test another management company. So he went out, tested them, fired them after 4 or 6 months, hired us to take over that company or that property. Now, why? One of the reasons he fired them, one of the big reasons, was because of the way they were marketing his listing. Well, Cameron, you just said agents list the property on the same channels, the MLS, social media, and a sign in the yard. Yes. However, for the MLS, they took pictures with their iPhone. They wrote a very piss poor description of the property. 4-bed, 2-bath property in, Willowbrook subdivision. That's it. They didn't write charming 4-bed, 2-bath house close to the energy corridor that has a beautiful outdoor kitchen and, a fresh lawn, recently renovated, all updated appliances. They didn't write any of that. They just wrote the bare minimum. And lo and behold, the property didn't lease very quickly. It took months for the property to get leased. They didn't have good pictures. They didn't have a good description. Those are the first things you see when you market a property. So, all agents are marketing through the same avenues, pretty much, right? Like I said, unless they're not an agent. But you have to make sure that the agent's description and the pictures look good. That's one way that we try to differentiate ourselves. We take professional pictures. I don't care if the listing is $500 a month. We will take professional pictures. Now, why do some agents not take professional pictures? You guessed it, comes out of their pocket. Agents are paying for that. That's included in your lease fee. So if they can skimp on the $150 to $250 for the pictures, they get to pocket that. We don't do that ever. We always have professional pictures done, and we'll have those airbrushed and tidied up depending upon the list price. So we'll have, some yards don't have very good looking grass. We'll have them go in there and put nice green grass in there and not tidy up the skies and blah, blah, blah. So all our pictures have always been professional, and I highly recommend whatever agent or property management company that you're working with, look at some of their listings, see how they have done it. Are their descriptions good? Are they writing something that's appealing to tenants, or are they writing the bare minimum, taking iPhone pictures, not caring about the tenants or the applicants or when your property gets leased? So that's what I wanted to talk about. I hope that you guys got a good idea of what I mean when we're all marketing through the same channels. That's the question that I get a lot. Where are you marketing, or how are you going to market it? But the other piece that you guys need to dive into, that no matter what property management company or agent that you talk to, they're going to tell you the same things. MLS, sign in the yard, social media. But dig into those, see what their last listings were, see how they marketed that. And then the one caveat I was going to talk about, I told you I was going to come back to, is Zillow. We, last year-ish, in 2021, Zillow started requiring agents to pay for listings. So they were no longer free to advertise on Zillow. So a lot of agents don't advertise on Zillow anymore. It's free, I think, for listing for sale. But for leases, it costs money. It might not be free for sales either. I don't know. We don't do those as frequently. But for all our listings, we actually pay to have weekly to have them listed on Zillow as well. So a lot of agents do not do that anymore because it's a few dollars a day. And if the property sits vacant for a month, that might be $200, $300. And the lease fee's eaten up and it's gone. We look at it as, we want to get you the most exposure possible. So we'll pay that extra money to get a tenant in there more quickly, to give you the biggest and widest reach and most eyeballs you can. So that's something else to note. While they're going to market all the same, do ask about Zillow. That is now, has become, and by the time you're watching this in later 2022 and beyond, that their business model could have changed. But currently, Zillow is charging for leases. So you will not find a lot of agents marketing on Zillow because it costs money to do that. I hope that was helpful, guys. Really be careful with selecting agents, property managers when listing your property, because it is do or die on that. The first week is a really imperative to get in the property. Lease, same thing in a sale. You want to get that a lot of activity that first week so that you guys, have a property leased within 30 days and don't have a huge vacancy. Vacancy kills. So I hope that was helpful. If it was, let me know. If it wasn't, let me know. Give us a like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend if you guys found this valuable. And I'll see y'all next week.